How's it going, everyone? MonkeyDog here, and today I'm going to show you guys a couple tips I have on how to peek windows in Rainbow Six Siege. So in Siege, what most people like to do is find a window facing the attacker spawn and hopefully get an early pick as the defender. They usually do this by breaking out a window and making a mess of the glass and the barricades everywhere and peeking really up close. But this doesn't always work. Against more experienced players, you'll notice that they'll start pre-firing windows and peeking really slowly or from weird angles because they know a lot of people like using these spots. So, to combat that, there are a couple things you can do. The first way you can combat being counter-peeked is by only peeking once per game or once per set. Usually teams will wisen up after the first time that they get picked from a certain spot, so it's best not to keep using the same location, especially against the same group of players. Another tip I have for peeking in Rainbow Six Siege would be to only break the window from the inside. So if you've ever attempted to peek out windows in Rainbow Six Siege, you'll have noticed that every window is double layered. And by this I mean one panel made of wood, typically found on the inside of the window, and another panel made of glass that's shatterable, found on the outside. So a lot of people that I've played with in Siege don't actually know that you can just break the wood portion of the window and not the glass. So in game this can be done by going up to a window and punching it out from a certain distance. So in the clip you can see that at 2 meters I can hit the barricaded window and just break the wood portion without shattering the glass, while at 1 meter I shatter both. So the easy way to do this would be to ping a window, go all the way up to it, and slowly back up until you see the window is barely 2 meters away from you. If you hit it at this distance, you'll only break the wood and you won't break the glass, and thus it'll be harder for your opponent to know where you really are. Eventually, if you've done pinging too many times, you'll get to the point where you can consistently just break the wood without breaking the glass. It'll become part of your muscle memory and you'll be good to go. It's a handy tactic when you're peeking windows and you don't want to make too much noise, or when you're peeking later in the round and you don't want anyone to really hear you. So the only drawback I can think of with this style of peeking would be if you miss your first shot and you only fire one bullet, because as you can see there's a lot of glass shards and particles in your way that really screw up your following shots. So to combat this you'd have to shoot at least 3 shots, since it takes 3 shots to break the glass in the window, and then you'll be good to go. Another tip I have for peeking windows would be knowing where to punch to make the smallest possible angle for you to see through, which would be very hard for your opponent to notice you while looking back. In Siege, every barricade takes 3 punches before it breaks, so knowing where to punch is very important, especially if you want to set up any traps or if you just want to make a really tight angle. The first location to punch would be right here, at the bottom of the barricade. If you noticed in Rainbow Six Siege, most windows tend to have a little extra bottom portion of wood that extends further than the glass in the window itself. So in Siege you can set up some really nasty traps by punching out the bottom 2 portions of a window and thus making it vaultable. This is particularly useful if you want to get an early pick or just surprise someone, since it makes less noise than using a crowbar as a defender to pull down the barricade, or punching 3 times, which wastes a lot of time. Another location that's pretty handy when you want to punch down a barricade would be the side where all the nails are sticking to the wall. If you've noticed, if you punch here, you make a much smaller hole in the barricade, which you can use to your advantage in a gunfight or if you're peeking. When you combine this with the no glass punch, it makes the angle really hard for the attackers to notice, especially since it's small and the glass isn't broken. Sometimes they might just gloss over and not notice anything. As you can see in the example, as an attacker I do not see anything. So use these in tandem and you can get yourself some pretty easy picks. Another important location to punch on the barricades or on windows would be right over here. By meleeing right in this exact location, you can see I get a vault prompt immediately, which allows me to take down the barricade and hop out at the exact same time in one fluid motion. I highly recommend mastering this skill as it allows for better mobility on the battlefield, and it's also extremely handy at flanking and taking the enemy by surprise. It should be noted, however, that this only works on single panel barricades for doors and windows, and does not work on double panel barricaded doors. So you're better off with your crowbar on the double panels than punching it 3 times. So I hope you learned something new about windows and barricades today in Rainbow Six Siege. So yeah, have a good one, guys.